Hello and welcome to today's video diary for Finding My Way with Pi, Purpose, Intention, and Emotion. Today I am having a little bit of an internal dilemma. Today I went with one of my kids to the doctor and we were in there for a mental health concern. And the concept of just taking a pill as a solution came up. I think this may be a little bit of a polarizing and controversial topic. And I want to just say that I have respect for the medical profession. I know there's a time and a place. I also have respect for knowing oneself and trusting yourself. I also have respect for the purpose that emotions serve in our life. I know that it can be imbalanced. I have been depressed before and have been subject to depression, some for quite some long periods of time. I have people in my family. My husband has people in his family. We've been through depression. We've been witness to bipolar. I know it's a struggle and it hurts and it's very difficult. And I know there's no one right or correct answer. Here's the dilemma I'm having within myself. One of the most important parenting principles for me is to try to teach my kids self-reliance. This is very important to me because self-reliance was something that I feel like saved my life. And quite explicitly, Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay on self-reliance just so happened to enter my life at a time when I was spiraling. You've probably heard me say a little bit of my story before, but I'll give a quick summary. And this is important as I'm examining why I feel this dilemma today, because this is the root of it for me. This is where that emotion hooks in and where this belief hooks in for me. So my story, there were parts of my early childhood that were rough. We lived in poverty for a while. My dad was a Vietnam War veteran. He was an alcoholic and a drug addict. I was the youngest, so I saw his deterioration for a larger portion of my life than my siblings did. I was no stranger to emotional and physical abuse. And when I got a little bit older, as a teenager, I was in a bad car accident as a passenger and suffered a severe brain injury that impaired my memory function and knocked me back academically all the way back to elementary school level. Shortly after that, just a few months, my dad died. I was devastated. He died, his truck hit a tree. He was driving drunk. I was doing everything I could to mask the pain. I was angry. My brain wasn't functioning right. I was mad about that. I was spiraling. I was doing drugs. I felt like I was slowly killing myself. And one day in English class, my English teacher held me after class. We had been studying and discussing Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay, Self-Reliance. And he asked me, "What did you learn today?" And I said, just kind of not engaged, like rolling my eyes like a teenager, that choice is important, that personal choice is important. This teacher had the guts to say to me, "Yeah, it is. And are you looking at your own choices? You are not limited by the story you were born into. You don't have to blindly follow it. You don't have to follow in your dad's footsteps. You can make your own choices in your own life. What are you going to choose?" Man, that has been like this iron stake in the essence of my being since that time. And it's like this mantra throughout my life. Make the choice. What are you going to choose? And choose your path and know how to know yourself, know how to think critically, learn how to solve your problems, learn how to face your consequences, learn how to live your life. And that includes all of it. There's no easy out of the hard stuff. The hard stuff is part of life. And that's where we cultivate and create some of our most true selves. And when we get through those times, it's also how we learn how to trust ourselves. And that's a huge part of self-reliance. And so as my kid is entering this challenge with this mental health issue, this is part of who I am. It's in my being. It's this deeply rooted belief and boundary, and just that we all have the power of choice. I'm not saying we don't need help sometimes, but I'm saying if we take an easy way out, we're just masking the pain. We're not truly healing. We're learning what we need to learn and becoming who we're meant to be. Now that feels, even in my own mind as I'm processing this, that feels like, excuse me, an unfair statement, because sometimes we do need a little bit of help. It's like when your wheel gets stuck in the mud and you need a little leverage. And I understand that. And the older I get, I also am learning that we overlook leverage that's within our own power, how we're feeding our bodies, the habits that we have. Are we turning to drugs and alcohol to mask the pain, or are we actually facing it and wading through it? There's no way out but through. I worry what I'm teaching my kid if I say, yep, we'll just give you a pill. And, no blame to the medical doctor at all. He absolutely had concern. He responded appropriately. He did what he knows. We will also look into other well-rounded care and all of that. So it's simply an acknowledgement of the dilemma I felt within myself, and that I don't believe that a pill is always the answer. My personal belief. I don't think we learn how to know ourselves and trust ourselves if that's our first option every time. That said, there must be a time and a place for them. And so for me, the first time I've encountered this dilemma with one of my children, I have to look into myself to see where my resistance or my hang-up or my belief may be coming from. And I also, I think, need to accept that their journey may be different. The world they live in may be different. This might not have been an option to me. That it's going to be okay. Maybe we can accomplish both. Maybe there is, we call it in my master's program, a Master of Arts and Happiness Studies, maybe there is a genius of the and here. That this gives her a little leverage right now, and while she's in a better headspace, she can think about and learn about self-care and self-reliance and what she can do to help herself. So it's like sometimes looking in a mirror at my younger self and having to remember she has her own path. So that is what I'm thinking about today. Those are the emotions. That's what I'm pondering, and I do think that this is probably pretty common. Just one last thing. The thing about just taking a pill that I think maybe causes the greatest dilemma for me and bumps up against a belief and a boundary that I have is that it implies something is wrong with you, like you're a machine and it needs to be fixed because feeling difficult or painful emotions is bad and wrong. When they're imbalanced and it becomes like a habit dysfunction, it is harmful. Yes. And it's part of being human to have painful emotions. So trying to find the right balance. It's not easy to navigate through this stuff, which is another reason why I want my children to know themselves and trust themselves. And the only way they get that is through walking through these experiences and going through them and learning that they can get through them. Because as you navigate through life and you are faced with multiple dilemmas and challenging situations, it's very difficult. There's no peace at all if you cannot trust yourself and know yourself. But I guess that's life's journey for each of us, right? That you're not born with that necessarily, or maybe we are, and then life complicates it, and then we come back to it. I don't know. But I guess that's part of life's journey anyways. Learning how to trust yourself. All right. Thanks for being with me on this journey. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope it helps you too. I'll see you tomorrow.